For you to do your swearies. Just give me a moment. Just to get the
You take your
swearies
time,
out.
darling.
I've put us on anyway, so I can do a sound check.
Legend.
Sometimes.
Watch live now. Shoot some shale.
Alan's gonna be fuming. Just give me a moment.
Looks to be him.
He does, don't it? Just to get the swearies out. Darling. I've put us on anyway, so I can do a sound check. Sometimes.
And just like that, we are live once again. Happy Thursday evening, Shoot Some Shale watchers. I'm joined with Mr. Dylan as always, because we're going to look at the signings for 2025 as of Thursday, the 28th of November. Mr. Dill, how the devil are we?
Freezing cold. Absolutely freezing cold.
Yeah, it's not warm out, is it?
No.
But
here we
interesting look. Here we are indeed. Merry Christmas.
A month till my birthday, just under a month till Christmas. That time of year you love. like a hole in the nuts.
Oh, don't remind me.
Means spending money, don't it?
Yeah, I don't like doing that.
So we're gonna tonight just have a look through the riders that have been announced in both the Premiership and the Championship. We'll also cover the announcement that was made earlier about the National Development League and what's changing in that. And we'll see who's been signed, what their averages are expected to be, what they add up to, what they've got left for their remaining signings, all that good stuff. And we're going to start with the Championship.
Yeah, so we'll start off with the Championship. We'll start up north and finish up north with Berwick, who have signed 5 riders using a total of 32.67 of their allocated 40 points.
I'm a little bit worried about one of those though. If you listen to word on the grapevine, but as we sit now, he's confirmed in their team, so that's the way we've got to look at this one for now.
So at the current point of time, the Berwick Bandits look like this. Daniel Hume, rider 2, Craig Cook at 1. I read my sheet wrong, but it is what it is. Drew Kemp at 4, Rory Schlein at 5, and Bastian Bork at number 6. Craig Cook comes in on an 8.42. Daniel Hume on a 4.87. Drew Kemp on a 6.46. Rory Schlein 8.08 and Bastian Bork on a 4.84. Solid looking team throughout at the moment.
That don't look too bad, to be honest. I think Craig Cook will flourish in new surroundings again. He's it's a track that he's openly said he's not a massive fan of. But I think, riding with Stuart Dixon in both leagues will help Cookie. Bastian Bork's an interesting one. He was absolutely flying before his injury, weren't he?
He was doing really well.
And if he can find that form and come back to something like he was, I think he's a steal on the average he's on.
He is 100%.
What have they got remaining for their last two riders?
7.33.
So they've still got a fair chunk to play with. You can speculate who may be there and who may not be there. But it looks an okay Berwick team if they can stay injury free.
I think the thing with Berwick, it looks almost similar to this season. They started off with a team that looked full of hope and everything, but injuries happened.
And it's part of Speedway, and it's just you always feared for that Berwick team with signing Lewis Kerr and Rory Schlein. With all due respect, they're both fairly injury prone.
100%. So moving a little bit further north, we'll nip across to the Edinburgh Monarchs, who have signed 3 riders and used 17.92 of their total, with 22.08 left for 4 riders. As Justin Sedgman returns to the Monarchs on a 7.92 average, with Victor Palavara coming back to Edinburgh on a 5 and joined by British Speedway debutant Jonathan Grahn, who was also on a 5-point average.
That's an interesting looking team. Obviously, both the Grahn brothers have got a decent potential. It's good to see certainly a Swede back as well in British Speedway, and if rumours are to be believed, there may be a couple more following suit in various places. It is nice to see Swedish riders coming back. We obviously, since COVID, Swedish riders haven't really been able to get in and out of the country to race here.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously you mentioned Jonathan Grant's brother Gustav. Would he, do you reckon he'd be willing to come over here on a deal where he's riding with his brother?
I think that's a risk on Edinburgh's part to have two complete brand new riders to the league. Don't know the tracks. Edinburgh's a tricky track to learn anyway, and to use 10 points of your 40-point limit on 2 riders that ain't raced here ever, and then you've got Victor Palavara who's not raced here for a few years as well. It's a risk, innit?
Just a little bit. So we'll go over to Edinburgh's neighbours, Glasgow. Nobody cares about them. They don't care about the fans. They haven't signed anyone, so we'll swiftly move on.
They've got 40 points remaining.
Yeah,
that's straightforward enough.
Oxford have made 2 signings, and they have used a total of 13 points exactly, as they've signed Luke Colleen as one of their reserves and Sam Masters as their number 1, and they have 27 points for their remaining 5 signings.
It's been a whirlwind of a couple of weeks for Oxford, and They announced that Ashton Bowden was going there and he'd agreed to return. They've now announced he's not going there and he's changed his mind. They've also been dealt the blow that Scott Nichols won't start the season because of the injury put up in the was it the Knockout Cup final?
It was one of the finals.
It was a final, wasn't it?
I'm sure it was the KO Cup.
Yeah, so the foundations of Oxford are going to look a bit different. Obviously, Scotty Nichols has been there since they came back, really, and him and Sam Masters are probably one of the most eye-catching 1 and 5 pairings in the league. So you'd have to assume Scotty was going to be back there, and I think he will be when he's fit as well. It's just how do they plug that gap now?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one for them. Adam Roynan back there for another spell, maybe, to replace Scotty.
I completely forgot Adam Roynan had signed. How many heats did he do? 3?
He did, yeah, he did. Did he do 3 or did he do 4? Can't remember now.
Can't remember. Didn't watch. Got injured on his first meeting, and that was about that. Got his signing bonus, and then got injured.
I'd do the same if I was riding for Oxford. Right, so we'll hop down on a helicopter down to Plymouth.
Oh, that's a long way to go.
So they have signed 2 riders and used a total of 10.70, leaving 29.30 for their remaining 4 riders, because no doubt RR will join at number 1. And joining RR will be Alfie Bortel on a 507 average and Joe Thompson on a 563.
They've kept a couple of riders that Plymouth fans really like. Joe really did improve at the Coliseum this year. We saw the best out of him and Alfie. I don't think he was as good as 2023, but he had a solid enough season. You'd expect Ben Barker to go back there as well. But the blow for Plymouth is Dan Thompson announcing he was moving on.
Oh, massively, he was definitely coming up to heat leader standard when he was done.
100%, and I know on a 7 point whatever it was average to end on. I know he'll get his British reduction, but he'd potentially be number 1 in that team for this year. And but if Ben Barker's being signed as heat leader, he's only on like a 5 and a bit average. So I do worry for Plymouth. I genuinely do. I don't know where the firepower's going to come from for him.
Winchester there with his little rattle. That's where it's coming from. So for a weakish looking Plymouth, we'll go across to a very strong looking Pool, who have signed 4 riders and have used 27.57 of their allocated total, with 12.43 left for their remaining 3. To the surprise of no one, Richard Lawson returns on a 9.17 average. Zach Cook also returns on a 6.23. Tobias Thompson makes a return to Wimborne Road on a 4.41. And after a slight hiatus for Paul, Lewis Kerr returns on a 7.76 average.
Returns? Has he raced there before?
2017 in the Elite League.
Oh, blimey. Don't remember that. That's an interesting looking Pool team. I mean, Pool were obviously rocked by the news of both Ben Cook and Tom Brennan not returning to Championship level racing, and around Wimborne Road this year, whoever they signed to try and fill those shoes were it was going to be a big ask. We do know notoriously Pool managed to get the best out of their riders, so this could be the best move of Lewis Kerr's career.
Could be. Be interesting to see what happens with him.
And obviously, carry on.
I don't think he's been signed as in the top league yet. Either.
He hasn't, no. If he can stay injury free, I think he'll be fine. And I think he needs to stay injury free. Berwick, he got injured and Berwick just didn't replace him. Poole will not mess around. If he gets injured or he's not performing, Poole will replace him, and they will replace him sharpish.
Oh, 100%.
But he's not got that number 1 on his back this time, so hopefully he can build on that. That's a decent looking Poole team so far, and Poole always put out a good team, don't they?
They just get it right, don't they, year after year?
Yeah.
So we'll head back on that plane and head back up to north. Up to Redcar, where they've announced sod all, so they've got 40 points for 7 riders left.
I don't expect too many changes at Redcar, if I'm honest, from this year. I think the core of the team will stay the same.
Yeah, I disagree, to be honest. So I suppose I better go up the road to Scunny.
Long way.
So Scunthorpe have signed 7 riders and used a total of 39.33 and have 0.67 of their allocated total left for a combined total of 0 riders, because all 7 have been signed and announced. And the team looks like this: Steve Worrell 793, Simon Lambert 583, Connor Mountain 565, Luke Harrison 432, Jake Allen 733, Zane Kennedy 427, and Declan Kennedy 4.
The Scunny team's an interesting one. Steve Worrell has more than got the potential to add to that average if he comes back from his illness, fighting fit. I think Scunny will be his only club. I don't see him in a Premiership team at the start of the season anyway. I think he can focus solely on Scunny, and I think he'll lead by example. I think again with Scunny they like to keep things relatively the same, don't they? You've obviously got Jake Allen, Simon Lambert and Connor Mountain all back from this year. Zane Kennedy's raced there before as well. Luke Harrison's back from this year. And Declan Kennedy has the potential.
I love Scunny, but I'd love to be proven wrong, but that's the bottom half of the table team. That
you don't reckon it'll be? There's a lot of pressure on Jake Allen or potentially one of Simon Lambert or Connor Martin to really step up into that third heat leader role.
One heat leader, 4 second strings, 2 reserves. That's the way I see it.
And it was met with a fair bit of criticism when it was announced as well. But with low expectations, you can only be proven wrong. So there's 2 ways to look at it. If they all click, maybe I think Luke Harrison will carry on progressing. It'll be interesting to see how he performs in the main body now. Although he did get a fair few 13s at the end of the season, so...
And he didn't look too shabby either.
No, if he can carry on progressing, he'll be alright.
Not many people hold off Josh Pickering for 3 3/4 laps.
No, that's true, yeah. Obviously Nathan Ablett moving on, Carl Howarth moving on, Mark Palmtoft moving on. And it looks like Nathan Ablett's not got any team offers yet, because he put out a post the other day saying he was waiting for the phone to ring.
Yeah, I mean, I had heard a rumour he was going somewhere, but it sounds like that might just be a rumour. I hope he gets fixed up. I've got a lot of time for Nathan, so yeah, I hope he gets sorted somewhere. Right, let's get in the car and let's go 4.5 hours up the road to Workington.
You paying for the fuel?
Absolutely not. So, Workington have signed 6 starters for 2025, and they come to 35.70 with 4.3 hours remaining for their final rider. And they look like this. Troy Batchelor returns to the Comets on an 8.46 average. Fraser Bowes debuts in British Speedway on a 5. Anthony Viewlass returns on a 6.40 average. Jai Etheridge says goodbye to Berwick. Hello Workington on a 4.98 average. Tate Zishki returns to the side on a 6.96 average. And Vinnie Ford goes to Workington on a 3.90 average.
I like the look of that team. I think there's potential. Fraser Bowes is an unknown, but he's got a lot of potential, and it's widely speculated there's a high ceiling there for him. Vinnie Ford races Workington really well. Showed it in the playoff semi-final when he was there with Paul. Yeah, and as we've saw, he's not afraid to get his elbows out either. So he can.
No, he isn't.
Whoever is at reserve with whoever that 4-pointer is that comes in. It'll work. I think Vinny will probably end up being the senior reserve to an extent, and sort of passing on the knowledge he has. Troy Batchelor at number 1. I think he had a really good season. He looked like he was settled, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, it's a very interesting move to have Batchelor at 1. Obviously, he was riding at number 5 most of last season, I want to say. So, yeah, Batchelor at 1 could be fun. Interested to see how Jai Etheridge performs now he's not at Berwick.
Yeah, I think it was a move that needed to happen. You can get stale at what? Yeah, you can get really stale at one track, can't you? And as they said in their announcement of him, he's raced for Bellevue and Workington. Is just it has similarities. It's not like the same or anything like that, but there are similarities to it. It's a big free flowing track.
It is a beautiful track, Workington.
It will be interesting to see which one of Antivulas or Teichishki go at number 5, though. I'd expect it probably will be Antivulas.
Interesting. Yeah, it'll be an interesting team. If they all click, Workington's got the potential for the playoffs again, and if
Yeah.
they don't click, they probably won't.
One way or the other.
So, did you want to have a look at the big boys in the Premiership?
Oh, is that all the Championship? They go a lot faster than you think. What teams stand out to you there? Based off of what we know, obviously we don't have anything from Glasgow or Redcar yet, but what stands out to you as front runners at the moment?
It's very similar to last season. I don't think there is a massively standout team. I mean, obviously you've got your pool, which always looks very good, but I just didn't want to be boring and say pool stand out.
Winchester might come for you.
But there's no team that stand out as if to say, oh, they look good. But them empty spaces in Plymouth do stand out as if to go, times are worrying.
Yeah.
Maybe they should just stick to the national trophy.
Yeah, it's. We'll see what they do. They could pull something out of the bat. I mean, nobody really saw Nico Cavati coming last season, and we all know how it ended, but they showed ambition by signing him in the first place.
We know what Plymouth and number ones are like.
Edward Kennett Ryder replacement, Jason Crump getting injured the year before, and Nico Cavati Ryder replacement or injured.
Oh, it's fun.
So yeah, now onto the Premiership, and much like a couple of the Championship teams, Bellevue have only announced their rising star at this point, Jake Mulford, which means they have 40 points left. Palmer, brilliant looking Bellevue team so far.
Oh, that will retain the league quite a lot. But yeah, I do believe that they are expected to announce their 7 tomorrow.
Ooh.
At their Christmas party
They usually do, don't they? I mean, you know who you'd expect to see there, and you know there will be some riders retained from this year. Obviously, we know Ben Cook's not going to be there.
So, Bellevue remind me of Scunny in a way. We stick with the nucleus of the team, and it almost gets boring year after year.
But if it works, you know, Scunny has worked the last couple of years with that plan. So now we move to the Midlands. Birmingham have announced 3 riders up to this point. Jason Edwards as the rising star, a standout rising star, I think it's fair to say. Number 1 of Tobias Muchalek on an 8.21 average, and a return to British Speedway for Matty Zagar on a 7.2 average, using up 15.41 of the points limit and leaving 24.59 for the remaining 5 riders. What do you think of the signings that Birmingham have made so far?
Muchalek, rate it, brilliant. Zagar, not so good. I think the fact that Zagar only raced the Croatian GP last year might not help. I could see it being a similar situation to Steve Wall at Scunny. It'll either make him go like stale bread, or it'll be a fire in the belly. I do hope for the Brummies' sake it's the fire in the belly Zagar. But yeah, up and down. Rock your daughters up.
Yeah, that's true. Ipswich have announced their full team of Emil Saivudanov on a 9.12. Jason Doyle will start at number 1 on a 9.36. Danny King is there again, much to the disgruntlement of some of the Ipswich fans, on a 6.14. Adam Ellis 5.47. Dan Thompson returns, not as a rising star this year, but does get a 25% reduction on his average. So he comes in on a very good good, like smart looking 3.11 average, and Jordan Jenkins' rising star. Their incoming rider is Tom Brennan on a 652 with a team total of 39.72. Good looking Ipswich team, that.
If that Ipswich team doesn't win the league this year, they never will. A very, very, very solid top three and three proven heat leaders over here. Danny King can't get much fucking worse, can he? Apologies for the language there. Danny King can't get much worse, can he? And he should settle in a heat leader position. Almost the same, to be fair, dare to say, with Adam. With Dan and Jordan at reserve. Going by the rumours, definitely the best home reserve pairing, I would say.
And Ipswich have stuck to the core of the team from this year, just the one change with Tom Brennan coming in to replace Keenan Rue. Be interesting to see where Keenan ends up riding this year if he does do the Premiership, but a good change there.
For me, they replaced the wrong rider. I think, we go back to, can't remember what we're talking about now, but riders going stale at clubs. Danny King has been at Ipswich for 16 years. It's
a long time.
Talk about going stale. So
imagine eating a sandwich on bread that had been in the wrapper for 16 years.
Oh, it doesn't bear thinking about.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I'd replace King. There could have been a bit more potential there because I do see a lot in Keenan Rue. And if he returns to the Premiership, then it'll be a very lucky club that return or that get his services. I can't get my words out today.
You're having a bear. We now move to them who can't fix their pit gate or just like to call off meetings for no reason. Kings Lynn. Interesting team building here. They retain the services of Jan Kvek, Niels Christian Everson, Nikolai Klint from this year's team. They bring in Ben Cook from Bellevue and Richard Lawson from Leicester, with Chris Harris signing and actually starting the season at reserve as well. How they've pulled that off, God only knows. And Ashton Bowden as their rising star, using up a total of 39.96 points.
I can already see the Speedway Friends meltdown and March isn't even here yet.
I can't, and I'm banned from it, so...
Ruining British Speedway. It's a solid team.
It is.
Ben Cook won't be number one there after 2 months. Just being realistic. I mean, for all we know, it'll probably be Chris Harris going from reserve.
I was going to say, I think Bomber will probably go for. It's a scary thought that Bomber can take 7 rides a meeting for the first month of the season.
Jan Kovac in Britain is a rider on the up. Neil Leverson is...
Everywhere else is not, but in Britain he's solid.
Our pal Trotch is sublime round Kings Lynn.
Really showed his best form, didn't he, this year?
I'm not going to say Kings Lynn are title contenders, but if they get it right, they could be playoff.
It's got a very much a Dad's Army feel to it, and it's a similar sort of team that Peterborough did in 21 to win the title. Yeah. The problem is that the league has changed a lot, and you've got some world class riders over here now at 1 and 5. So I do fear for Kings Lynn in the big heats, the 13s and the 15s. But if they get that right and everyone clicks, that is a playoff team in my eyes.
They'll be all right in the 12 and 14.
Yeah, they'll make up whatever they lose in the 2 big heats in the heats before them. Leicester, the runners-up from this season, have retained the services of Max Frick, Ryan Douglas, Luke Becker, Sam Masters, Craig Cook and Sam Hagan as their rising star. Just the one change, Kyle Howarth coming in to replace Richard Lawson, using up a total of 39.9 or 39.93. What are your thoughts on this team?
Stuart Dixon really likes his bridesmaids dresses, doesn't he? He's probably going to have to get another one. No, I like the look of the team. I think Kyle for Richard Lawson's a bit of a downgrade,
100%.
and that's no disrespect to Kyle. I've got a lot of time for the guy, but you know he's he's almost on a downward spiral.
And Richard Lawson, essentially raced at number 2 all year on a heat leader's average, and that's difficult to replace.
Oh, it is. It's massive. But it's a very good home team.
If you win your home meetings and win them by enough, then you could go away and probably nick the aggregate as well.
I do expect them to be in the playoffs, but I can't see them being title contenders.
There are teams that look better, aren't there?
Like Kings Lynn.
Hot take. Again, they've got an out-and-out number 1 though in Max Frick, and obviously Dougie and Sam both know their way around that track. Luke Becker got better as the season went on, was a little bit shite in the playoffs, but as the season went on he got better. So, and obviously Craig Cook at reserve. If you get the best Craig Cook as well on a 4.5 average, that's a really good average.
He didn't get 16 at Sheffield for nothing.
That's very true, yeah. That's very true. Now we go to Oxford, who, as we said in the Championship news, have had a little bit of a difficult couple of weeks at the Championship level. Their Premiership team has got 4 riders announced to this point. Luke Killeen is the rising star. He's very much the project for Oxford, any Luke Killeen.
Luke Colleen's basically replaced Ashton, and he is their golden child.
Yeah. Rowan Tungate returns, Charles Wright returns, and announced this morning Eric Riss returns, using a total of 19.58 and leaving a total of 20.42 for the last 3 riders. They've obviously lost Chris Harris. I think we all expect Matt Sainovsky to be back there.
I would expect so.
It's just who's going to be that number 1.
Standard Oxford Spires team, innit?
Yeah, it's
said after one season.
It's true. I don't know. There's a lot of concerned Oxford fans out there, and I think rightfully so as well.
Does Crumpy fancy coming back out of retirement again?
That went so successfully when it happened last time, didn't it?
Well, yeah, maybe wants another crack. Can't blame the guy.
And finally, the Sheffield team, who had the most inventive way of announcing their team. That video was fantastic. Absolutely brilliant video, that. Clear winners of the announcements this year.
I really like that.
They line up with the same top 3 as this year, with Jack Holder, Chris Holder and Ty Woffenden all returning, using up a very, very large portion of the points though. And Josh Pickering's also back there at second string. Anders Rowe makes the move from Kings Lynn and obviously graduates from Rising Star, so gets a 25% reduction on his average, so comes in on an average under 4. Will be in the main body. Daniel Hume was announced today to make his the other day, to make his return to the top flight as well, and Leon Flint Rising Star. This team, I don't know, Aussie's top 3, Ty Woffenden half Aussie, half British. Then you got Pico, you know what you're going to get from him, and then a lot of British youth and potential in the bottom end.
I rate Anders around Sheffield. I really do. He's solid enough around there. I rate Danyon at Sheffield as well. He was very good and very popular at Sheffield when he was there in 21. Flint is the big question mark.
He was
He
poor for
should.
Birmingham this year, but maybe it was just, it's a new year, innit?
Theoretically, excuse my French here, but theoretically, Leon Flint should piss have been the rising star this year. He's
Yeah.
been, the most experienced and all that.
We all expected him to this year, and he didn't. But obviously, when things aren't quite going right, it is hard for your head to stay up. I think it'll be different to Sheffield.
And I mean, if things aren't going your way, who better to look up to than Ty and Chris Holder?
Yeah, multiple time, 4 world titles between them. Jack Holder, obviously a Grand Prix rider now. Josh Pickering only going up. There's a lot of potential in that team. I think Pico probably takes over as captain from Carl Ewerth. I think he's the natural.
That would
fit.
be a good move.
I think
that would be a good move.
Yeah, 100%. You've got me saying it now.
These shirts coming soon. Not in time for Christmas.
No, but that team, if they stay injury free and Anders Rowe rides like he did when he moved into the main body for Kings Lynn, and Daniel Hume does his thing, and Flinty has a decent season, that's your potential champions.
It's between Ipswich and Sheffield again, innit?
And we don't even know the Bellevue team yet. Obviously, we hear rumours, and I do expect that the rumoured team will probably be the team. I just don't think that looks as good as Ipswich or Sheffield.
If that rumoured Bellevue team's the one that, we've both been told, I'm waiting for the rage from Phil Millard to come at me. But that team doesn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, it could be tough, and obviously I think everyone expects Brady Curtis to be back there. Brady will have Grand Prix to focus on this year as well as obviously racing in the Extra League with Václav. It's a big year for Brady Curtis, and he won't be able to put as much focus on Bellevue.
And it's a massive step from just riding in the Polish version of the Championship to go into the Premiership.
Yeah.
As well as obviously, doing the GPs. I'll be interested to see how he gets on in the GPs. I personally don't. First season, I don't expect him to make the top 6. I kind of hope he doesn't, just so Jessup has a meltdown.
Jessup have a meltdown? No.
That's basically it.
But we will do at some point when we've got all the teams, we'll do a full look through of our predictions and stuff. We'll do another one of these around January time. Teams will probably all be confirmed by then, to be honest, so we'll have a look through the teams, and we'll probably integrate the two and do a predictions for the 2 leagues at the same time.
That's a good idea.
It is, isn't it? Do you want to read out the National Development League statement that came out today about the changes coming forward for that, and we'll just have a quick little gander about our thoughts on that?
Just you give me 2 moments and I will get it up. I didn't want to do that. Thank you, laptop. British Speedway.
We've had 4 people watching for the entirety of this stream, so we ain't that boring, I don't think. Unless people are just using us to fall to sleep too, which I wouldn't blame them for. It's a cold night, wrap up in bed, have a cup of tea and fall to sleep.
I mean, that's what I do, to be fair.
After Jungle.
After the Jungle. we love a bit of Bora.
Speak for yourself.
So if you're listening, love, hit me up and I'll give you my number. So, National League. British Speedway's National Development League structure will expand in 2025 to feature more clubs and more track time for the sport's young riders. All 6 competing teams from this year will return, whilst 5 more clubs entering the NDL system. A new national trophy competition has been formed. How very exciting. The 2 competitions will have the same points limit and regulations, but they will run as separate entities, and therefore it will be possible for riders to sign for both a club in the NDL and also a club in the national trophy, therefore maximising their track time and almost doubling their meetings at this level compared with 2024. The points limit for both competitions has been set at 38, and both will be settled on a league-only basis of 1 home, 1 away match, against each opponent, with the league leaders declared as champions. The clubs in the two competitions are National Development League: Bellevue, Edinburgh, Leicester, Middlesbrough, Oxford, Scunthorpe, Sheffield. National Trophy: Birmingham, Kent Eagles. God, that sounds awful.
It does, doesn't it?
Kings Lynn, subject to confirmation, Plymouth and Workington. British Speedway chairman Rob Godfrey said the National League really came back to life last season, so it's great to have all 6 clubs back for that, but also to now be able to introduce to the additional National Trophy group. That group will utilise largely the same riders as the NDL, which means they will get maximum track time between the two groups and also more experience on different circuits. If you look at it from a rider's point of view, they will have a home track in the NDL and all the away tracks in that league. Then if they're in the National Trophy, they'll have another home track there along with 4 more different away tracks to visit. Oh my god, I'm bored of reading this now. There's no replication between the two groups, so it's really fast track experience for the riders, and they're going to be much busier compared to this. When we do appreciate there were some big gaps for them. We are also delighted to have a Southern Blaze club coming back with Kent competing in the trophy, and we welcome them into the competition. Everyone is doing this for the right reasons, and now we've created more meetings for the youth and developing riders to participate in, and with the majority of our tracks involved, so we have with the majority of our tracks involved, so we see this as a very positive all round. I hope you've got yourselves tucked up and you're now fast asleep.
I like it. I know there's been a lot of debate about, why couldn't they just all compete in one National League. I actually like the idea of having the trophy as well. I think it's almost a replica of the Championship and Premiership, where riders can double up there. Obviously some riders have two home tracks, and they're busy more often than not. I think that's what it's been designed to do. It's for British youth, because it's got to be deflating if you sign a contract to race for a team for a season and you're doing 12 meetings and that's it, and they're spread out across 6 months. There's no continuity. You're turning up to your home track and you're that cold, or you won't race there for weeks on end, and you basically keep learning it. Whereas with this method, you'll be a little bit more busier, and I do expect your riders such as Jody Scott, maybe Ashton Vale, William Cairns, possibly to double up and do both of those competitions, and I think it'll just be good. We saw it with Max Perry, got released by Poole. His season was so stop-start. So I think I like the idea, to be honest.
I like the idea. I'd have liked Scunthorpe Sheffield to have done both.
To have been separate. Maybe put Scunny in one and the Sheffield name in the trophy, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have worked.
Same riders, but they separate the names and have them doing both.
Yeah, that would work better, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, bigger-ish NDL next year. Whoa.
And crucially as well, there's a couple of Premiership tracks in there as well, with obviously Bellevue in the National League, and in the trophy you've got Kings Lynn and Birmingham. So a couple of Premiership tracks, and if you go there and score really well, you've got Premiership promoters that will be keeping an eye on you as well. You won't get straight in, but it's a name that they'll make a note of and keep in their mind and follow. So it's nothing ventured, nothing gained kind of a deal.
Pretty much.
I like it. It should be really good. I don't think you'll see many riders. It's like the Premiership, nearly everybody not so much nowadays, but back in, the late 20 teens and early 20s, 21s, you had the majority of the riders were doubling up. There was your rare cases like your Freddie Lindgrens and people like that weren't, but the majority were. And it's just like that, but for younger, less experienced riders.
I'm pretty sure every rider in that Peterborough team of 2021 doubled up.
Yeah,
which
I like
says
it.
All, really.
I do like it.
It's a good venture. I respect them for doing something different.
And as well, I know this isn't official or anything like that, but I'd assume, certainly from Birmingham's point of view, you rent the stadium for 6 months. If you're just doing Premiership like, Birmingham and Kings Lynn, you're paying, well, especially Birmingham because they rent it obviously off the Dogs. You're paying for the stadium even for Mondays that you aren't there, so you may as well stick in, 5 extra meetings or 4 extra meetings there.
100%.
That's so you may as well, there's nothing to lose, is there? If you're paying for it anyway, if whether
You
you've
may as
got
well
National
use
League,
it.
exactly that, yeah, whether it's National League or Premiership, you paying for it, so you may as well get, even if you want to get 100 people through the door, it's better than it's sitting there idle with nobody there on a Monday night and no action.
Exactly.
And that, I think, draws us to a conclusion at 46 minutes. I've enjoyed this. I think it's good to look through what's been announced and do stuff like that. We'll obviously have another one of these early in the new year where we can do our league predictions. We'll probably get Alan involved in that as well, no doubt.
Yay!
Do we have to? The plan at the moment is to have the first of our Chinwag series next Monday night. That'll be confirmed over the weekend, I'd assume, once everything's in place. But keep an eye on the Facebook page for that. Parmat, do you want to do your usual gig?
So, it's been an absolute delight to have you with us on this Thursday evening. Thank you very, very much for joining us. And we'll probably see you Monday on Facebook on the fans Chinwag.